Hey guys, welcome back to All the Mods 10. This is episode 15, and what I'm doing right now is supposed to be the stuff I was gonna do between episodes. I was gonna set up the other four essences, which are made the exact same way, and I was just completely gonna skip over them. However, if you look behind me, you'll notice that I have run out of source, and that's a problem. And you remember how I was talking about the volcanic source links being easy to automate? Hell yeah, they sure are easy to automate, but something else has also happened. I've run out of fire essence that I'm using to make the lava buckets. So the lava buckets only get made when I get enough fire essence. Which, as a stopgap fix, I also made more lava seeds, or like fire seeds, which make more fire essence, which makes more lava buckets. But I still am not making enough source. And that's clearly visible because, well, these jars are still empty and I'm not backing any source up. It drains. It comes in and it drains. So, the next solution, which I don't usually rely on, is the agronomic source link. This guy produces source every time crops grow. And I usually don't rely on this because, well, there's generally crops grow very slowly, right? The growth ticks for crops are kind of random. It's random tick based. Except I have a farm that is speeding up crops 360 times, so I had the bright idea to, make one of these and try this. So I just put one of these down and lag spike. I just put one of these down, and I was like, yeah, that surely can't. Yep, that surely does work. And every time a crop grows and gets harvested, it produces a bunch of source. It is actually just that simple. I just need to hook up a source jar next to this or around it and just have it pipe back into the network, and I believe as long as this farm is active, which it forever will be because everything is being whited away, I will have infinite source. And just as a test, I want to see how quickly this source jar fills up. I'm going to put a source jar down right here. Let's see what happens. 10%. Okay, this could be faster. And of course I can put down more agronomic source links and everything. But again, this is producing faster than that and is absolutely 100% automated and passive. So I'm just going to put a source link down on every single one of these glowstone slabs, except the one in the middle, of course. And we'll go from there. It's going to be a lot of particles, though. And just like that, tell me this doesn't look absolutely beautiful. Now, of course, some of these are sending their source into other jars, and some of these jars will fill up, and then a bunch of goofiness happens, but of course, that's sort of the pretty aspect of this mod. Now, I'm going to turn the bloom down, and I'm going to have to find that setting really quickly, because that is blindingly bright. And I've just gone back through the vanilla settings and just turned the particles down, and that seems to have fixed the bloom just a tiny bit. I couldn't look here because, well, all of these source jars filled up before I could even go through my settings. Now, to get all of this source into a central jar, I'm probably just going to put one jar here. And in all fairness, I think this just means that I don't need any others. I could just get rid of all of these source jars and have the system drain these. Because all of the all of the agronomic source links should just directly connect up into the source jar in the middle. Now, if I put an import bus down here, and because I have one channel left on that controller, or that connector, I can just use a single little channel here and use this as an import. That's perfect. I've just changed my mind. I need those connections for the storage of the new essences as well as the other essence automation. But that has also reminded me of the fact that there is a couple channels that are left over here. Okay, if I can fit through the wall here without speeding through it. I believe this guy has 30 of 32, and I just need the one channel. So I'll make a copy of this PTP tunnel and use it over there. Okay, the step assist kind of gets me sometimes. I'm still in the process of getting used to this armor. And for this process, I'm most definitely gonna have to use an extended import bus because of the sheer speed that these things come through at. And do I need a P2P tunnel? I do not, because I can directly put down a second connector on the south side of that P2P tunnel. What I do need is a cable, and do I still have any purple cables left? Actually, just one. This is perfect. So now, once this is online, this will be online, and in this guy, I would like to put all of the acceleration I can. because again, this thing is fast. So that is now full. And someone in the comments reminded me that I can't use the memory slots of this backpack. And I don't know why I forgot this. This was sort of the staple for Vault Hunters. You would have all of your loot auto-sorted into backpacks with this memory thing for every single backpack to automatically organize your loot. I just completely forgot about it. Now, I need this, and I'll just take it over to the other side. And you guys get to see me do this because this is sort of what playing this game is like sometimes. You just run into an issue you didn't see coming. So, I need more black cables. Do I need more black cables? I don't think I need more black cables. I can just put this here and link this up. Now that these are all linked, the source production should be going crazy right about now. The jar's already empty, and yep, sure enough, look at it go. Now the source should be coming in pretty damn fast, 200k already. I like it, 206k. The system's definitely being kept up with. 212, and I imagine once I back up a little far enough away, the particles just disappear. Yep, so it's not too much of a trouble. The reduced particles also make life a little bit easier. FPS doesn't look too bad. Plus it's shiny, look at it. Now, having run out of range on that guy, did I just put down a third one just for these 4 drawers? I don't know, maybe. Okay, however, unfortunately, linking this means that the last channel on this cable is now consumed. So that is now a full 32 channel link, and personally, I'd want to challenge myself to just use this subnet to continue on and supply the other 2 sets too. So that already has 8 channels, and I did add a source jar in the back just so that I can accelerate both of these crafts. And I think I'm going to do pretty much the exact same setup, except use 1 extra channel here to export all of these items into another storage bus or an interface, something along those lines, and I'll figure it out and I'll report back. And, you know, while trying to set this up, you obviously need access to 2 sides of this guy. One to import the gems from, which would be this, and one to export the finished craft from, which is why every single time I put down an imbuement chamber, it's been in a corner like that so that I can hide my automation behind it. And if there's drawers in the way, I can't do that. And I want these 2 panels to be mirror images of each other, so I just had to smooth this over a little to the side. I'll continue. So quick channel count for this subchannel is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That means I can put down a source jar, and that will be 6. So I just gotta grab me an export bus, and you know, somewhere here is fine. You know, exactly not like that. And I need another source jar, which I can just middle click. I could have sworn I had more source jars thanks to my experimentations. Apparently they have NBT data, so I couldn't. Use one of these, and then the memory card, which is rather helpfully exactly where I left it. I can just shift right click the export bus there, and right click the export bus here. That is configured. And now all the system needs is power, which I can just do with the quartz fiber. So quartz fiber, just need the 1. Of course, the system is going to give me 32 because that's what the system does. And this should all be online. Now the fact that that is filling up leads me to believe that this setup works perfectly, and I will explain this setup hopefully in a short sometime really soon, because that setup hypothetically allows you to get infinite storage. But of course, that's for later. Currently I have a build to build. And now that all of this is in place, I can just put down my platforms exactly like so. Perfect mirror images. And if memory serves me right, the abjuration essence is the bottom right, the conjuration essence is in the top left, that one's anima, and that one's the last one, the manipulation. So I'll just set these up, and hopefully by the next clip you'll see essence building up right here. And even with all of this auto crafting running constantly, my source levels fluctuate ever so slightly, but somehow never go below 400,000. I wonder why that is. It's almost as if I completely forgot about this mechanic. Anyways, I still do like my volcanic source links. So someone's just asked me how I managed to keep on going, and the answer is things like this happen every now and again, and I like solving such problems. I've just realized that if I am to put white upgrades in here, it means that my farms will keep on farming, and I don't exactly want that. I want some of these to shut off once there's like a few thousand of these, and I would like to use the requesters to request a certain amount. Now that entails putting pattern providers on these faces, but I cannot pattern provide into a subnet and have that subnet controlled by the main system as far as I know. So I think I'm just going to have to suck it up and pull another few channels to connect all these up. Whoops. And I think I'm ready to swap over completely. I have set up requests and set up requests for 2048 autocrafts of each and every single one of these essences, and that seems to be active. There's flat pattern providers that just put that there, and once it turns, the extractor pulls them out. And I have just set up anima essence and manipulation essence, and I'm gonna set requests for them right here. So anima and the other guy, and that's just the 4 basics, so I might as well take all 4 essences. And I'm requesting 2048 for the time being, but for these guys I'm requesting 4602 because that's how much their drawers hold. So both of those are crafting away. I just need to put in this, and I turn these off. That's another little bit of wisdom while using these. You can freely edit and modify. Edit and modify mean the same thing again. But it's easier to do when this isn't actively running because you can't change these numbers once they're entered in. And I think with all of this set up, this should only craft up until all of these drawers fill up. And once that happens, all of this should turn off and thus save me for TPS. Save me a little bit of performance because I can't always have passive things running constantly because, you know, every single interaction costs me a few milliseconds or microseconds that my CPU has to process, right? So if I just leave thousands of interactions running needlessly and pointlessly just because there's white upgrades everywhere, well, those numbers probably add up pretty fast and cause lag. That's how lag happens, and I don't want to lag out in a single player world. So, that's just a little bit of lag prevention for you. You know, I would have cut all of this work out and just said, oh, hey guys, you know, by the way, I figured that it would be easier and more convenient or more performant to do it this way. And so I did all of these changes. I want you all to let me know if you want to see me do these changes on camera or with updates like I did this time, or if you'd like to see me just cut these away and give you like tidbits of information or just the highlights. Let me know. Let me know, because I know some of y'all said more time lapses, and I did that, but I don't know about stuff like this. This is a little bit hard to time lapse because it's just a lot of block placing, and my camera's just going to be going in all sort of directions. I don't know how easy that is to look at. So, like I said, let me know. So now, coming back to what I said in the previous episode, which was I was going to set up a 5x5 farm here. I'm going to continue with the Ars Nouveau theme and set up a little Drygmy farming setup right in here. And I think that involves breaking down these walls, because I would like to be able to walk in. So a new floor goes in, and I guess I'll have to extend the lights across too. Give me a second. So I may or may not have done it again, where I was watching, or I should say, rewatching a TV show on Netflix and gotten carried away building and decorating. I have made a bunch of armors. In fact, I've made all of the mystical agriculture armors, the vanilla armors, the Aldemodium armors. I got space for 6 more here and 20 more on the other side. I want to get all of the wizard sets and the elemental sets, all of these ones too. Yeah, I traded up for every single seed from this guy, which I want to plant in that corner there, just because I want to have automation for everything. And perhaps the thing I'm proudest of is this. This is a assembly system that allows me to autocraft the templates. Um, yeah, so I'll explain this really quickly because I just wanted to put my head down and think about it. So what this does is there's a stock export bus that puts one smithing template in here, and these guys have the full crafting pattern to make a smithing template. Now the pattern provider up top has the same processing pattern instead of a crafting pattern, and it is missing the template. So this thing imagines that it is a processing pattern, treats this molecular assembler as a machine, puts all of the inputs into this guy, which are put in place in accordance with the full crafting pattern. It makes 2 smithing templates, which then go back into the system, and then one of them goes back in here. So the pattern is basically 1 smithing template from 7 diamond and 1 netherrack, and the extra smithing template is always stocked up by the import bus. Now, this system is working perfectly, and what I want to do next is keep 1 of each template for myself and for safekeeping in my ender chest, because even though this is a fully autonomous system, and it restocks, as you can see, all of them are back up to 8. I mean, they jitter around for a bit, but, you know, the Aldemodium extra went back in, and now I have 8 left. I still want to keep an extra because, you know, I don't know if I'll ever accidentally pull one out. And I would rather be sure I don't mess this up, because getting them is kind of pain in the backside. What else did I do? I cleaned up the blob, and it's completely gone. I cleaned up the little Certus Quartz farm up there, and now it's over here. This is a framed wall that is preventing Certus Quartz from growing on this face. It only grows on this face, and an Annihilation Blade gets rid of it. My matter condenser is back, and my furnace automation is back, and I also moved my IO port out here. All of these have slowly been auto-crafting over time. In fact, I believe a couple of these different, more magical essences are completely fill up. These are still on there, right? In fact, I ended up with a shortage of source gems to the point where I added 1 extra imbuement chamber. This one was disabled in the past, and re-enabling this one basically made it so that, yeah, they're now just constantly in stock. It was just, I was off by 1. I had 4, and then I added, I believe, 1 more, and then I was still going down, and then that was the previous episode. I added another, and now it works. I make a net positive on source crystals now. And yeah, over time, this has been doing its thing. And most importantly, I have expansion plans for the future. I want that hole to go further back towards the north, same with this guy, and they will open up into a second room behind my central point here. I also happen to make an elevator that goes up because I felt terrible having to teleport back home every time. These ramps basically take me to more walls where I can put in rooms or more automation walls like I have down here. And I extended these walls further out. I think I have a couple channels left on a few controllers here, but that's alright. Yeah, these are the requesters in action. Now let's get back to this room in the middle here. The entire reason I went off on a building spree was because I felt like interior decorating this room, which I basically just mirrored from that side to this side. I'm still looking for ideas for Rocco's there, guys, so again, drop them in the comments. Still looking for ideas. Over here, I wanted to put a Drygmy farm that passively gets items from mobs and set up some sort of storage, mass storage for mob drops over here. And I was thinking about using netherite barrels and such, just so I don't have to deal with all of those items going in my AE2 system, because a lot of mobs drop a bunch of random stuff that I would like to hoard but not destroy my system with. And yeah, I'll set that up right here. And rather unfortunately, to get this Drygmy charm to set up the Drygmy farm, you need some sort of fish. I only have one fish. I do have 4 tokens though, and you just, as the tooltip suggests, you give a Drygmy a Waldenhorn, and they just sort of poof into existence after being satisfied, and turn into these charms or tokens. To get a charm, I gotta kill some fish. A little bit of fish killing later, the enchantment to get a token looks like this. You get a carrot, a fish, a seed, apple, and wheat. And then 3 source gems. And then you can whack this guy in the middle. And you get a token. I'm just going to repeat this 3 times. And see you on the other side, I guess. So to set up mob for containment after you have a Drygmy charm, the first thing you're going to need is mobs in a containment jar. Now, the containment ritual requires a ritual brazier that I have crafted up already, right here. It's, again, once you're into the mod, it's an easy craft. You just gotta have source gem blocks. And you're gonna need a tablet of containment, which is, again, just a quick craft. Fairly cheap, as always. And once you have the magic essence, it's fairly easy. Sorry, the manipulation essence. And you essentially put down one of these, put down one of those, and you right-click the tablet onto the brazier, and it consumes some source and does the ritual. As long as there's a mob in the area and a containment jar nearby, the mob goes in the containment jar. And to make a containment jar, you simply just need planks and glass. And I kind of don't mind using any old type of glass because, well, it doesn't even matter. Just craft up a bunch of these planks because I'm going to need a whole boatload of containment jars because I plan on lining the walls and everything. So 15, sure, that's good enough. And of course, I would like to mention that the more mobs there are in these jars, the faster and happier the Drygmys are. Now I've also made the creature catcher from Just Dire Things, and the key ingredient here happens to be blaze gold. And blaze gold is, again, easy to get. You just surround your goo block with gold instead of anything else, and it turns into blaze gold. And one of the mobs I would like to get happens to be like the chickens and the cows, like the passive mobs, because I don't have seeds for those guys. The chicken would be nice, and the creature catcher essentially just catches creatures. And I can pick up villagers and such too. And easy villagers is in here, but I haven't had a need to get into any villager trading yet, so I haven't. It's just that simple. I'll take a pig, why not? And I'll set up a containment ritual somewhere where no mobs can hinder me, and that will be my base. And the ritual works something like this. As I mentioned, source jar, containment jar, ritual brazier, and a mob. In this case, I've chosen a pig. You light the thing, and the thing should go in the thing. Any second now. Oh, you gotta right click. Right, I forgot. And there it is. And this ritual is still running. You just need to set it up one time, and over time it just consumes source, I believe, every time it does the ritual. I've done 2 so far. Yep. Just uses a little bit. Kawai's in here. And the next mobs are a little bit more complicated. I want to put in a warden and a guardian and an elder guardian. So a little trip around the world, and I'll be back. Well, Warden, where are you? I'm here to catch you and take you home. And that's 4. They should be here. I'm just gonna line this to leave. Actually, I can see through the creature catcher here just a tiny bit. I think I see his heartbeat right there. Yep. Here you are. Bonk. Okay, we go home now. And now that the containment ritual is still going, I can just do that. Bye bye now. Our next stop is this ocean monument right here. Here's the other one. You're coming home with me. That's completely okay. And while the containment is still... Oh, shift right click. Just throw this down. And big guy's in here now. I can simply just drink a little bit of milk to get rid of the potion effects. And where did this guy go? In here? Cool. Just put this here. Forever on display. Now this guy will produce eggs, which I do not like, so I'm gonna have to set up one of those ender things, the teleporters, and just whitelist it to eggs. I do not want eggs. And so I'm choosing to put the Drygmys in the smack middle of this room. I'm gonna put an interface underneath them because they need a inventory to put stuff into. And I believe an interface should work. I'm gonna try my luck here. And they need a mossy stone block, cobblestone block, to be their Stonehenge, which goes here. And if I click them with the Drygmy tokens, it did the thing again. If I take not the tokens, what are they called? The charms. These guys, Drygmys, should spawn in and do their happy little dance as long as they have containment jars around them. Now, I don't like them running around, so I'm just going to build them a little enclosure where they'll live happily ever after. And funny enough, for this guy, I'll be needing this. And you know what? I don't need any of this anymore, so I can just get rid of it all. Yep. And with that storage controller, I've linked up these netherite barrels with the max tier upgrades because I can. And hypothetically, if all of this works, I should just be able to do that. And this will turn into a Drygmy henge. And a Drygmy should come out of the ground. There he is. He shouldn't be able to escape, and look at him doing his happy little dance. Now I can spawn in the rest, and they just spawn right in. I'm gonna make this glax just so I can see through it. And yeah, you can see the fancy particles. And confirmation of this stuff working would be if there's items in the interface. I just wait and see what happens. Now any eggs that are in that one block space should instantly get voided, and let's put that to the test, shall we? If I throw an egg down, it got picked up and put in the trash. Perfect. No more eggs. And has it produced anything? A whole boatload of stuff. Perfect. And honestly, I'll save you guys the mystery by telling you that I'm using a subnet to pull items into this controller, which eventually will just put stuff into the barrels. Who would have seen this coming? Absolutely everybody, hopefully, because I am somehow ended up as an AE2 fanboy after using refined storage for so long. AE2 just seems like a more polished, well-rounded mod that supports way cooler functionality than just, oh, I run cable from point A to point B. And of course, the subnet would need a generator, so that goes there, and everything should just come alive. And I should now start getting stuff in here. Perfect. And that extended bus is a little bit slow, so I'll put acceleration cards in. My secondary objective here is to put another storage bus so that I can then access this storage controller through my main network. And honestly, given that I can hold 65,000 items per space over here, I don't expect to run out of space anytime soon. However, ain't no harm in having multiple, plus this looks neat. That's my excuse. Anyways, secondary storage bus would go on any other face, and I'll just pull an extra channel somewhere. I do believe I have a spare channel back here. Yeah, this one should have 31 out of 32, so I could just do one of these and use my setup kit. It's doing the thing again. Setup kit. And drag this channel over to the other side. And with that in place, if I search up a wet sponge and something shows up, I know that the system works. So hypothetically, the interface should stay completely empty because stuff is constantly being pulled out and being put into here, and the stuff in here should constantly be building up, and all of these items are available for crafting in my AE2 system. Ooh, I was gonna wrap up this episode by setting up auto crafting for this, but I realized I would need Piglich hearts, and of course, I'm gonna do another containment ritual on a Piglich to get its heart, so excuse me really quickly while I go to the other. And once again, I'm just gonna set up the same ritual all over again. Put down the ritual brazier, and put down a sword shard. Sure, I'll take the full one, why not? And what would I need? I would need the token, which I already have. Right click that. Right click that again, so it's running. Just toss this guy down. Hello, big guy. Goodbye, big guy. And I kind of don't like the bright particles, so I'm just going to get rid of the ritual, because hey, I like my decorations the way I like them, and that is why I'm decorating everything. Anyways, this can live right in here. And I wonder if I have multiple of these, if I would get more Piglich hearts. But for now, this will have to suffice. There's a faster way, and of course that way happens to be hostile neural networks. In fact, you know what? I'll kill a few off camera and I'll set that up. That is going to be a terrifyingly slow process. I'm not looking forward to that, but I have the time right now. I might as well set this up. And I'm dreading that because these guys have 1,000 health. That is assuming they aren't champions. So I think first things first, I'm gonna upgrade my sword to be unobtainium just so I get the maximum damage I can, right? The unobtainium sword, I imagine, does a whole boatload of damage. 51? It's better than 18, right? And it's unfortunately seeming like this is gonna be my life for the foreseeable future. Plus all the annoying creatures, and it's a good thing I stopped. I realized I was gonna go do that entire thing without actually making a data model. And that's full of the Endermen, not the Endermen, the Ender Dragons. So I should probably just make a regular old data model. Just so I can get the Piglich guy. Because it would have been horrifying to have gone all that distance and not actually killed the guy and have it count towards this. And of course the fancy one picks a fight. I can't tell which one I was attacking initially, and I'm about to die again. I'm just gonna back off really quickly. Hope my healing picks up. I hate this. That took about 5-7 minutes. And if I'm being honest, I'm not looking to spend the next 30 minutes of my life. But you know what? I can probably just keep watching Netflix and whacking away at these fellas. I'm just gonna cut to when I have the model. Alright, so doing this actually took so long. I finished an entire season of the hit TV show The Mentalist, starring Simon Baker. And I was rewatching it, and I'm done with an entire season. That's how long this has taken. So I'm just gonna get rid of one of these and put one of these in and wait for one of these predictions to come in so I can give it a spot and then put down a compacting drawer up here maybe, and then I'll have compressed Piglich hearts. And finally, before the system was able to suck this one out, I managed to get my hands on it. Now, first thing I want to do is give it a place which has been taken, and one of these probably has it. Now, thankfully, I can set this up like so, and then keep pulling these out. And next time, every time it receives a prediction, from a Piglich, it'll just automatically know to make Piglich hearts. And I did bind a drawer to it, just right here. And I'll put my hearts in there. It's a simple compacting drawer, similar to the essences for air, water, fire, etc. Just put that there. It'll automatically turn into blocks, and I think we're good. And I think all of these know to make Piglish hearts, and this number should go up to 11 in a second here. Perfect. Now we wait. And honestly, instead of just waiting around watching that number go up, I've decided to preemptively set up the auto crafting required over here. And while checking up on the Drygmys, I figured I might as well add the source that they need because they had stopped working. These guys need a constant source of source, a source of source to keep working. And there's a P2P tunnel down here that I have just connected up to give me a crafting pattern provider to this autocraft here. And now that I've chosen a spot and reset this up, I want to go back down and create a modular router that will push into all of these and pull back and push into an interface, exactly like other automations. And the module of choice is going to be a distributor module. I just realized I never made one of these before. Fairly cheap again, as long as you have the resources. I guess if you have the resources, then everything's cheap. And you want to carefully select the order. You want these to be first and the item to go last into the enchanting apparatus, which of course it cannot do because there's a max limit of 8. So I would use a sender module to send the last one. This is a Mark 1. I believe I would need a Mark 2. And I can do that because a Mark 1 can only do adjacent inventories. And that's the wrong spot. Just come on. There we go. Send here and put that in here. Now this guy, I want to receive outputs from a pattern provider. So a pattern provider, an extended pattern provider even. Nah, a regular pattern provider shall suffice. I'm having trouble deciding. Screw it, I'm using an extended one. No harm in using a bigger one than you need, right? Just if I don't end up using, 30 of these, then that's fine, I guess. And with the wrench, I can make it so that the arrow points into this, so the modular router will receive the inputs from the pattern provider, which will then go into, well, everywhere where the distributor module is, and then it'll eventually come back down into here. So this guy will need a puller upgrade, and then a sender Mark 1 to send it back into the system. And so to set up a recipe for something like this, what you would have to do is, well, first of all, be in the correct grid. That really helps. And then you can click this. Now, the most important thing to do is ensure that the source gem block is the last block there is, because all of these will be sent in order, and I would want the source gem block to be, well, the last thing on that list, because if it's the last item, then instead of the distributor module sending all these things around, it'll be the, what's the other guy's name? Slips my mind. The center module that will send it directly into here. That's what I'm looking for. Or at least that's what I'm hoping happens. Now, if I go down and give this to a pattern provider, the only way to truly find out is to test it. So, it's time to request an autocraft for a block of alloy. And I should be able to say request 1. Let's see if this works. 1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cent, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items. And then the last one. And it's done. Perfect. And out of all of the alloy blocks, I think the next one we can automate fairly easily happens to be the vibranium aldemodium alloy, because, well, that's just a simple power craft, and I have a pretty decent power setup. If I'm using this myself, all I need to do is teach the system how to compress a bunch of nitro really quickly. And given that I have a, I'm totally doing this wrong, aren't I? I'm supposed to do that and do that. So that is a 1x, that is a 2x, and now to make a block of nitro, teach it this recipe, of course. Now, Since these are sequential crafts anyways, doesn't quite matter where they end up. I have all of that, and I can go put this last crafting recipe in this pattern provider right here. I do not need to be down here for it. However, what I can do is request an alloy block with this guy. This should craft up 600 of these, and everything else is just available. Let's watch this craft happen, shall we? It's already halfway done. I like this system a lot. And this sure is a big one, eh? This takes its own sweet time. Ooh, have I run into power limitations? I have. How rather interesting. The cables are also running out of power by the looks of it. That just means I need to put down more gates then, right? Put one down here, put one down here, and down here. Hopefully a few mil and FE additional would help. It can't hurt, right? And I just hope that it's not... Oh, it's actually completely drained me of power. How very cool. I guess the next thing I need to upgrade is my power situation. Increase my power holding to more billions of FE, given that this takes 9 billion. And I only store 2 billion, I believe. Yeah. I want to make it so that I can autocraft these in fairly large numbers. So a little bit of upgrading goes a long way. Also, I apologize for the flashing lights. That is my bad. I'll look away. But this does look pretty cool. As a laser show. Ooh, funnily enough, I've actually hit a generation buffer. It's not even a power buffer. Does that mean that everything else is not receiving power anymore? Yes. My system is actively losing power as we speak. Oof. I'm not too excited about that. This could be slightly catastrophic. Actually, no. This craft will stop, and then the system will just come back online. I'll just have to cancel all my crafts. This is 80% done. So close. I accidentally right-clicked this. God dang it. Okay, that is so sad. You know what? I'm just going to cancel the craft entirely. Just going to say cancel and pull the block out and just close off the craft. Because I can always just redo this in a second here after I upgrade my power. And I think I should be able to now request 10 batteries. What I've done is just added back the tank of lava from the blob. And this thing should be cooking away. What's it trying to do? Just crafting a bunch of capacitors. Okay. And everything else should just be available, right? It sure is. Done. Very cool. I should now be able to just right click these. Just plonk all of these in. This is great. And now I can hold 22 billion. And with that upgrade out of the way, I think I'm gonna have to call this episode right here. This episode took way too long thanks to my own actions. Getting this Piglichs model right here. It's up to advanced now, which is nice, and I'm slowly building a backlog of these guys. However, that took the longest. Even though I built for most of the afternoon, at least the building part was enjoyable. In any case, this has been KSaw in All the Mods 10, and I'll see you next time. Peace out, everybody.